Hello and welcome back to the Northside Bound YouTube channel. I'm back today with another Cubs prospect profile, and today we're talking about Owen Caissie. If you guys are looking for prospect profiles for some other players, I've already got some here on our Northside Bound YouTube channel. I've got PCA, Kevin Alcantara, and Jefferson Rojas posted here on the channel. If you're looking for more are incoming, but today we're focused on the man, the myth, the legend, Owen Caissie. So, the way I've done with these other videos, I'm going to continue on here. There'll be 5 parts of this video. The first is just kind of a run through of Owen Caissie's player card, his stats from the 2023 campaign, and how well he did there. And then I'll follow that up by talking about his strengths, weaknesses, potential outcomes for him long term, and then his timeline on when we might be able to see him in Chicago. So let's go ahead and dig into the player card here with Owen Caissie and his strong performance. You see, I have him ranked as the number 4 prospect in the Cubs farm system. That's right behind Pete Crow Armstrong, Cade Horton, and I do have Kevin Alcantara ranked above him. So number 4 prospect, the stats last year in Double-A Tennessee were downright crazy. As a 21-year-old playing in Double-A Tennessee, really spent part of the year as a 20-year-old. He logged a full season's worth of bats. He played from opening day to the very end of the year during the playoff push. 528 plate appearances. The slash line was tremendous. He hit almost 300. On-base percentage close to 400, slugging above 500, posted 22 home runs. He even added 7 stolen bases, did get caught 9 times on the base paths, but the strikeout rate at 31%, he walked a ton at 14%. Things to kind of keep in mind here, right? So batted ball stats for Owen Caissie, you'll see that 13.3% swinging strike rate, which actually isn't too awful, right? It's lower than what we saw from PCA. It's lower than what we saw from Kevin Alcantara last year. It's not too bad, but it's also important to remember that he works long at bats. He watches a lot of pitches, does Owen Caissie, and that's what leads to this walk rate being so high. It's a 128 walk rate plus. That means 100 is league average. He walked 28% more than league average, not 28% overall, as in this walk rate, but 28% better than league average in terms of drawing walks. The strikeouts were they kind of racked up at this point. But you look at the overall offensive numbers. I had him at a bash of 132, which was, I believe, second or third in the organization behind only Jefferson Rojas, who led the organization, and right around where Moises Ballesteros was overall. That is adjusted to league rates, adjusted to ballpark, and adjusted to the age against his competition. So that's a really good number. WRC plus 144 is tremendous. OPS plus 124, also tremendous. Just a really great year offensively and defensively from Owen Caissie. So let's go ahead and dig right into the strengths of Owen Caissie. Exit velo, exit velo, exit velo, exit velo. He puts up ridiculous numbers, right? So when you're looking at what translates best to the major league level, what is a number that I can latch onto and say that number in the minor leagues makes sense at the major league level? Exit velocity makes sense. If you hit the ball hard in the in the minor league levels, that will translate almost better than any of these other numbers, better than slugging, better than the total number of home runs, better than the walk rate, stuff like that. The exit velocity, if you hit the ball hard, if you're hitting the ball 119 miles an hour, like Owen Caissie has the ability to do at the minor league level, that translates to the major league level. If you look at that 119, it would be one of the best exit velocities in all of Major League Baseball, let alone what he did in minor league baseball. So that power potential has been realized very much so. And when you're looking at like these ground ball rates, these ground ball rates have lowered quite a bit. His ability to pull the ball has been increased. So not only early on in his minor league career at the lower levels was he showing the ability to hit the ball hard, but when he was there, he was hitting the ball to the opposite field quite a bit. He was hitting the ball on the ground on the pull side quite a bit. Both of those have gotten quite a bit better, where he is now pulling the ball when he needs to pull the ball. He still has that ability to go to left center gap, and he's great at doing that. But he can also pull the ball. He can pull the ball in the air, and that leads to higher home run numbers, right? That 22 that we saw from him in Double-A Tennessee this past year, I only expect that to get higher and higher in the coming years, because I think he'll continue to get better at that. So I'll throw into this strengths category. I think it's really impressive what Owen Caissie has done defensively, and as far as his athleticism goes. So I would not have described Owen as a very athletic person early on in his pro tenure. But now looking at him, he's got a whole lot more athleticism. that's due large in part to the work that he puts on in the offseason. He works hard to become more athletic. And not only is that played in the outfield, where now I think he's closer to an average corner outfield as opposed to a below average. But I think that it's also played on the base paths, right? Only 7 stolen bases, but I think he looks more athletic. The ability to go first to third on a base hit to right field, the ability to score from second base on a hard hit ground ball to center field. That's all gotten a whole lot better from Owen Caissie. So overall athleticism is now, in my eyes, more of a strength than a weakness. But let's get into some weaknesses that we do see with Owen Caissie. When talking about Owen Caissie's strikeout rate, it's important to remember that early on in the year that the Southern League, where he played his minor league season in 2023, was working with sticky, tacky baseballs, right? It was some initiative brought in by Major League Baseball to say, hey, let's test out some tacky baseballs at that level. What it led to was crazy spin rates, right? So the fastballs were spinning a crazy amount and just riding up in the zone. The sliders were spinning a crazy amount and just being nasty, nasty pitches. And what it led to was a lot more swing and miss. It was a lot more strikeouts. And that's why you saw early on in the year Owen Caissie's strikeout rate like quite a bit higher than what you'd like to see. Now, when those tacky baseballs were taken out of the rotation as the season wore on in the Southern League, the strikeout rate did lower by quite a bit for Owen Caissie and for the entire league, obviously. So what we're seeing here is an overall strikeout rate of 31% from Owen Caissie this year. That's too high, right? I think that like if he can be a major league baseball player with a strikeout rate around 30%, then I think that he has enough power production that he can make up for that. I'm not too worried about a strikeout rate at 30% for him at the major league level. But with a strikeout rate at 31% in double A, you can only imagine that's going to go up once he reaches triple A and once he reaches the majors. So that right now is a weakness for him. Now, like I said, he does not need to be a 20% strikeout rate. He does not even need to be a league average, right? This K percentage plus here. This does not even need to be a league average 100 number. Like it doesn't have to be league average, but he just can't be striking out at like uh, worst case Javi Baez levels or worst case Patrick Wisdom levels. Now, I think he can be better than Patrick Wisdom if he does strike out at the levels that Patrick Wisdom strikes out at. But it's important to remember too, like when he does swing, it's not always a swing strike. That batting average, because he hits the ball so hard, is 289, right? That's a high batting average from a guy that we view as a power type of player. So just worth keeping an eye on that strikeout rate. Worth keeping an eye on that as he climbs the ladder, as he makes it to double A. And it might impact his overall potential outcome, which is what we'll get into here now. Yeah, I think that Owen Caissie can be a good, and in terms of his ceiling, the ceiling is pretty outrageous from Owen Caissie, right? I think that you're looking at a perennial all-star caliber player at his peak value. On the low end, he might just strike out too much, and the power might not play as much. You're looking at the production of what Patrick Wisdom has done. Like I said, Patrick Wisdom has been a decent enough player to be a bench player at the major league level. Owen Caissie has that as his floor for sure because of the power number, because of the exit velocities. He can be a good player in terms of like a bench valuable, but I don't think he won't make it out of the minor leagues. I guess is my point. Versus like Kevin Alcantara, I think there's a chance that he doesn't make it up to the major leagues. I think that's a possibility given his profile. Owen Caissie, I think will make it to the major leagues, and I think that like the range of potential outcomes is still pretty crazy with Owen Caissie. But I think that like what you're hoping for with Owen is a guy that can continue to hit the ball extra hard, which I see no reason why that should stop. And then also continue to get better and better at limiting strikeouts. I don't think that you're looking at a potential outcome where Owen Caissie has to be a first baseman at the major league level. That's one of my pet peeves when talking about Owen Caissie. I think that people since he was like 19 years old have been shouting for Owen Caissie to be a first baseman. Let's convert him to first base. And part of that is because the Cubs don't have a first baseman right now, right? You're looking at a Cubs major league roster. It's like, oh, like who plays first base for the Cubs? I get that. I get that it's a position of need, but Owen Caissie is not a guy that's been banished to first base. He's gotten better defensively in the outfield. I think he can be an average outfielder in the corners and left field and right field because we know the arm is super strong out there in right field. So let's not banish him to first base, right? Let's like what we see from him in the outfield and understand that he has more value if he can play a good defensive outfield, not just a first base DH type. Timeline for Owen Caissie is that I think in 2024, he will probably start off the year as a starting outfielder on the AAA Iowa Cubs. And that is super, super fun for a guy who will still only be 21 years old, not yet on the 40-man roster. That does not really happen very often, right? Where you get a guy in AAA in Des Moines that's not on the 40-man roster, that is a top five prospect in your organization, is still this young. Like, that is something that the fans that are in the Iowa area, in the Des Moines area, should absolutely get out to the field out there and watch Owen Caissie play, because he is a talent that is worth watching. I think that we see him in AAA to start off the year. I think there's a possibility that we see him in Chicago next year in 2024. I think that could happen. I think that a more conservative timeline puts him in Chicago in 2025, whether that's opening day after he kills it all year in Iowa, or a little bit after opening day. I think both of those things could be absolutely considered. And like I said, I think that there's an off chance that we see him in Chicago mid-season, late season in 2024. But I think that if you see Owen Caissie in Chicago in 2024, you should be absolutely ecstatic. You should not be expecting it. So I'm just really excited to see what we see from Owen Caissie in Iowa, in AAA, and see that power production continue to play as he gets older, as he gets more mature, as he gets more advanced at the plate. That should be a fun thing to monitor, a fun thing to follow. So can't wait to see what we see from Owen Caissie. So if you guys, like I said, are looking for more videos, you can go check out the Kevin Alcantara, the PCA, and the Jefferson Rojas. They're already up here. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe for more videos. There's still more coming. Moises Ballesteros, James Triantos. You got more guys coming that I will talk about. Matt Shaw. So be sure to subscribe. Hit the little alert button so you know when the video gets posted. And in the meantime, comment on this video below. Give me a like. Let me know what you think about Owen Caissie. How do you view Owen Caissie in comparison to Kevin Alcantara? Because I know those are two guys that will always be compared their entire careers. So let me know what you think. Owen Caissie versus Kevin Alcantara. Comment here below. Let me know what you think. And in the meantime, thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching, and we'll be back very soon.